Not too young.
But you can make it a private YouTube video.
Sorry.
No, I love that you said that.
As long as she's okay with it.
Okay, so I'm gonna be recording him and you're gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
practicing in the morning? Okay, okay.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, dude. I'm so glad I'm not dead.
Okay, I'm gonna need this space here, so actually that chair's kind of
Yeah, I figured rather than pay for that person's page than like, try to claim
I
the
looked hard.
thing.
It's okay. I'm more about the guys sliding through grave, like, you know. Having lived.
We're doing a deep tissue demo on somebody who doesn't like deep tissue. It's gonna be quite the video.
It's fine, the video is not gonna measure the pressure. I'm
All about
just
testing
gonna
your
video the
skills, Paul.
technique.
It's a pseudo deep tissue massage. Okay, can I get you to move your feet over to your left just a little bit? Yeah. No, a little too much? There you go, that's better. Always easier for me if they're more centered.
Wow, that's centered. I'm off.
Close enough. Close enough. You can go over to your
See, I'm crooked.
right just a little bit. There you go.
Thank you for being so accommodating, Paul.
Hey. No problem. You guys are the first ones who convinced me to do this.
Yay!
You love us.
Thank you, Paul.
We're convincing.
Anything I need to know? You already said no?
Well,
Okay. So keep me posted if, you know, the draping or the pressure, the moves or anything.
Okay.
If you need me to change or stop or whatever.
will do.
Okay. Draping preference?
Minimal.
Pressure preference?
Ooh,
We'll figure it out as we go along.
light for a deep.
Okay. She's gonna wish she wasn't the model when she feels my hands.
It's alright.
Even I can feel their cold.
Paul, cryogenic test.
Yeah, just breathe. Just breathe.
Mm-hmm. Mind over matter. This is kind of like a standard, I'd say, routine that I might use. Any chance we can get more of that hair Yep.
out of the way there?
In which direction?
Up, especially on the back of the neck. Yeah. Can you do that to her, Jessica?
You're just stalling. Try and warm your hands up again.
Not gonna make much difference. That oil is already freezing cold.
Does that feel okay?
That's fine.
Is that good,
It's
Paul?
for him, not me.
Actually, some hot stones would be good.
Hot
I actually started
stone.
doing that
Yeah.
because I always keep warm towels. And I was
Right.
like, I'm just gonna throw a couple stones in there to just
Right.
Good
dust them.
idea.
It helps a lot.
I'm all about the hydroculator.
We had a bit of
That
a,
works
we had a
too.
request for a little extra neck if we can add that too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, the stuff I was gonna show you was mostly gonna be in the supine position. So
Okay.
yeah, I can do a little bit of that near the end, I suppose. Probably find the same thing on YouTube, guys.
Probably will, but it's. I feel like it's more legit when you know the teacher.
Plus we felt most of this, so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I won't do some strokes that I usually do because
What? I can't take it.
no, I don't want to set a bad example for
Oh, okay.
like using thumbs or
Oh, right.
because I do use my thumbs sometimes,
We all kind of do.
but I try to leave those out of my teaching. It's just better if you don't, or use them much less frequently than you do. So remember these guys for the back?
Oh, yeah.
Forearm parallel, you get into that little groove. What do they call that? The laminar groove.
Laminar groove.
Pressure okay?
Great.
More or less?
Just as it is?
Okay, just keep me posted if you need to. Okay. And then for more of the belly of the erector spinae, you just internally rotate your shoulder a little bit.
Those two have became my favorite. I've incorporated
Yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah, that's like
And-
at night.
Yeah, people really like these.
Then for more of the, you can get a little bit of the lateral part of the QL and the erector spinae.
That one too.
Okay. And then we can also do something similar from superior to inferior. Feel free to correct my body mechanics at any time. I do forget sometimes.
Do you have a mirror set up in your
No.
Space.
No.
It's really
I'm
nice that you're.
pretty self-aware when I'm working. I can
Yeah.
always tell when I'm not,
Yeah.
when I'm, not doing what I should do.
Or if you get lazy,
Yeah.
Tired.
It's really nice that you're saying these, Paul, because sometimes when I'm working and I know that I'm not doing my right posture, I'm like, oh my God, you didn't do it, and I give myself such a hard time. But now that you're saying it, it's like, okay, we all have those moments where
We're all
we're so we're so into that
We're all
giving
human.
the person on the table that we
Right.
forget about ourselves.
Paul, I'm heavy right now.
Yeah.
Little petricide on the deltoid, tricep. We'll warm the rotator cuff up a little bit.
Mhm.
I always like to do a few strokes over here. This here, right here, the serratus anterior.
Awesome.
I'm not using much pressure with my thumbs here, guys. Just kind of warming that up a little bit. I don't know if I showed you this one.
seems
Yeah.
familiar. We did-
Yeah.
That one gets the little bit of the lat, teres, major and minor.
Why, yes it does.
The spinatus, posterior deltoid. And I show you guys forearms here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with somebody who doesn't like it that deep or doesn't need it that deep. I'll use my fist sometimes like that.
You can get pretty deep with fists, though. I realized today
Yeah.
with the legs.
Mhm.
And notice, guys,
With the
I'm not pulling my fist
Right.
like this. My shoulder's right over my fist, and
And
then
then
if
you
my
move
fist
your-
goes that way, my shoulder goes down. It's
Yeah.
kind of biomechanical. My Rolfer actually showed me this technique.
Cool. And your shoulders aren't hunched at all.
Shoulders aren't hinged.
Nowhere near his ears.
I know, I need like a magnet. Opposite magnets.
They repel each other.
I usually do the palm when they're lying face down because I can easily use much more pressure here.
I worked on a police officer not so long ago, and I did this on one of his hand, and I completely forgot to do it to the other hand. And then almost towards the end, he's like, "Can you do what you did to the other hand to this hand?"
It's nice that he asked because a lot of people won't ask. You
Right.
know? They'll just let you forget.
Yeah. He asked for it.
I notice when I'm getting massaged
Yeah.
if it's not exactly.
Yeah.
Especially
Right,
if-
right, right.
Especially if it was good too.
Like totally.
And actually, when I get a massage, I don't care if it's the same because frequently I have one side or the other that needs more work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't okay with that pressure still?
Yeah, great.
Fists across the shoulder. And then we'll do that neck move.
Oh yeah, this one. This is the one I was trying to remember.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, so it's like worked on her other side. Who's your signature?
It's true. I forgot my techniques.
Oh yeah, that's the cross.
Ooh, feel that little.
Nope.
No? Okay, good. Okay. Save a lot of time if I only did one side.
Yeah, so she'd walk out of here
Really
really
off
off kilter. What if you only worked on her shorter leg side? Maybe everything
It would be-
out.
Is that Nicole?
No, it's
Jessica.
Jessica.
Oh, Jessica.
One of the Jessicas.
Right. But Jessica's are on your left side.
So I see you're kind of doing this in a wave, back and forth and back and forth.
Just pretty simple and basic, guys. Nothing fancy.
Good fundamentals, you know, I feel like I've changed my whole stance and like it's a form formula kind of almost, and now I've got a better foundation.
Good. Foundation is good.
More connection.
Mm-hmm.
And more freedom, like more freedom to experiment. Not like experiment your own movements, but get out of your. For us that were coming out of the 250 hours, like being used to those. Like for me at least, that pattern. Like you do this and this and this and that, and now it's like, oh, there's so many other movements that you could do, and it's like he said, it's nothing fancy, but for me, it's like this is fancy. I'm fancying it up.
These fingers and thumbs.
One thing I'm remembering is that I didn't really ask you if there was anything going on that you wanted me to spend more time on.
Oh, I wouldn't have had an answer anyway.
Yeah.
Just
She-
yes, please.
She'd probably say head to toe.
Dude, walking around all day at Disneyland was just,
Disneyland.
Oh, that's where you did all your walking.
well, that and two universities. Yeah.
Maybe we
college
should
tour.
maybe we should give the wallet a massage too, cause
Sorry.
it's probably hurt.
So you've been to Disney.
I've heard.
Mickey Mouse ears are not free.
Nor the popcorn, nor the water.
Yeah, tons of walking, 6 hours driving. So if you're 6 hours sitting in one position, what does that do?
Something's gonna hurt. Excuse me, girls.
You get it, Scorsese. Get in there.
She says she doesn't like deep massage, but we're going medium
Are
to
we?
deep here.
Really?
She's
Cool.
she's
Look at
woke.
me go.
She's woke, people.
Wow.
I'm not too old to learn.
I know. I used to say like, oh, I hate deep. But
Really?
now I'm like,
Well, there's
wow,
deep that's like
deep.
too painful.
Yeah. There's, I think
Just
also
got the wrong kind of deep
Speed.
Right.
Yeah.
Just depends on,
speed and just like
technique.
a layer of thoughtfulness and intention that
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
make a difference.
If I sneak up on a body part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Like that.
like.
And they won't
So
be.
you probably
They
know how to
won't be
respond to tissue
relaxed.
too after years of experience. Like you know tissue. It's just
Yeah, like how to breathe this.
how to read it. Yeah.
That and
Just
also
don't
just
assume
being
you ever
intuitive
know
with the
everything
person.
about it
That's
because
true.
You
it'll
wouldn't wanna
fool
be
you
hurt.
sometimes.
Nothing works like
You can
words.
make
or,
assumptions.
yeah.
It's true.
I guess I could do a couple of the shoulder things here. Remember?
Love these.
Temperature okay?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Have
Oh,
used
see
these.
this? I completely
So
forgot.
this one was hyperextension.
Hyper.
So when I
shoulder.
hit your end point, just flip those fingers, okay?
Okay.
Show me what that's gonna look like. Okay. Little shoulder bump. Now this could be a little, embarrassing for some women, so you can always do that.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep that shoulder nice and heavy. And she's breathing nice and regularly, so that's good.
Breath in.
Okay, on your elbow.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh my God! Wow.
Got a nice mobile shoulder here. That your signal? Okay. Big breath. Big exhale. Good.
Does that pretty much stretch the whole rotator cuff?
Now,
Or mostly the
No.
anterior?
yeah, I mean, if you do this, you can kind of feel, for
Yeah.
me, it's, yeah, the rotator cuff, you would
Flex.
do more of this
Okay,
for the internal rotators, so
Uh-huh.
that stretches like the subscap.
okay.
This stretches the infraspinatus and the teres minor,
Okay.
okay? And this one stretches the tricep.
Right.
Just wiggle those fingers if you need to. Big breath. Yeah, big exhale.
For that long.
Guess I have to do it on the other side now too.
Darn.
It wouldn't be
It's a
fair.
good chunk of the remaining time, guys, if I keep going at this rate. If I did this stretch much faster, she probably wouldn't get nearly as
Right.
far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember you kind of talking about sort
Big
of
breath.
distraction. Yeah, like your hand on the humeral head. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
multi-purpose though? Or you also kind of
Yeah,
feeling
just a
around?
little, no, I'm not
Okay.
feeling around. No, you could,
Uh-huh.
but I'd rather just have her not have to deal with
Mm.
what I'm doing there, other than just because almost that distraction is almost subconscious for them. If you're kind of poking around in there, they're
Yeah.
going to be wondering what you're feeling and
Right.
thinking about
Okay.
it. So, but I mean, you could though,
Mm.
you know. See, we didn't do this one. Remember, that one's horizontal abduction.
Mm.
Stretch the internal rotators, stretch the lateral rotators.
I was trying to remember all the.
Yeah, see, those are good notes. Those are good
Yeah.
notes. I forgot too.
Big breath,
Oh, that looks like.
big exhale. Good. Pulls your hair out.
That's okay.
Pull it under the thigh draping technique.
Mm-hmm.
That simple straighten your leg was genius.
I know. I know. You
That
made
helps,
draping
yeah.
like no big deal anymore. It was.
Want your socks on?
Yes, please.
Okay.
down on the number of strokes I do, just to keep this at a tolerable time. If I had more time, I'd spend a little more time there. In that spot.
Not here for me. It's all good.
What's that?
We're not here for me. It's all good. It's all good.
Normally I would say, don't use your arms,
Oh.
right?
Oh.
This is one place where I actually use my arms. But you could also do this like this, right? Using more of just your body. I'll try to do a little vibration in between strokes, keep them loose. Or during the stroke, I'm just rocking. Doing okay?
Yeah, good.
Paul, are you going back and forth for the viewers, or do you usually go back and forth this much for giving massage back and forth across the table?
I do.
You do?
He's kind
I
of
do.
started
Yeah, I do
more
go back
video
and forth.
from this side.
So he starts in and then works his way over. Got
You
it.
know, some people, just for integration, people feel sometimes that they want to, do this,
Okay.
right? And so that'll cut down on the amount of time you go back and forth if you do the calf and the legs at the same time.
Got it.
But
You go back and forth.
I'm back and forth, yeah. I like to spend more concentrated time on each part. And then just, when I open the lower extremity, I just do some effleurage all the way up and down, and then the same thing to close it. And that's about the only integration that I'm going to do. But yeah, if you do it the other way, it'll cut down your around the table time.
Was it like this? Yeah. Now I'm kind of moving my arm. Yes.
Awesome.
What's that?
Awesome.
Good. Remember, we're trying to open up the rotators to lengthen them out a little bit. You can usually see that happening as the heel goes laterally.
So the stretches you normally do these.
Oh, yeah, let's do a couple. Let's do a couple. right. Let's use that hand right there, okay?
Oh, okay.
Nice little watch today.
Deep breath. And exhale. And you can do internal hip rotation. Big breath. Big exhale. External hip rotation. And then, since that's as far as she'll go, big breath. Big exhale. And then I'll just show you this one. Figure 8, remember?
Oh yes, this one.
Yeah, there we go.
You internally rotate and abduct, externally rotate and adduct. And the figure 8 really is kind of like the heel, it kind of makes it figure 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can take that one out into abduction, remember? Keep the foot pointed straight up and down, don't let the hip externally rotate. That way it isolates those adductor muscles really well.
Before you do what we spent the morning on doing,
Mm-hmm.
do you tell them at the beginning of the session, like, would you mind doing some active massage, or would you just do it?
Yeah, I usually don't. Yeah, I usually just do it. Yeah. Although it's, it's certainly fine. I think those of you that like to really have a running commentary with some clients to kind of, especially if they're not familiar with massage or with your massage, I'm going to do this now, we're going to do this now. Some clients feel comforted by that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually do that. Usually I cover stuff in, pre-client interview, but I certainly don't discourage that,
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
That's a good question for one of my clients. For the first session, we were talking through the whole massage,
Uh-huh.
and now it's just kind of like just
Right,
running. It's just flowing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you become comfortable and they know they can, ask questions or whatever, then you can be quiet unless something comes up.
I've definitely found the more I integrate these deep dips and moves, the quieter everybody's getting, because they're breathing more.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
It's cool. Not that I don't enjoy chatting with them, but I feel like they're getting a better therapy.
Yeah, some people just need to talk. But like I said, you can't completely relax if you're talking. I don't care who you are. And sometimes, especially with deeper techniques, the client really shouldn't talk because it's counterintuitive, but we're so distracted that we actually have to really concentrate on relaxing sometimes. You just gotta tell yourself, okay,
Yes.
gotta relax, right? forgetting what I'm doing here. Better shut up. That's right.
Yeah, that happens.
And remember, guys, because of my, I guess, body dimensions, some of this stuff isn't going to work for you. You know, especially if you're a woman and you're trying to do stuff over here, and you might find it, as we've done during class, kind of moderate, you know, the technique, use your fists or whatever.
I like it when things are in threes. Like a medial, a center, a lateral.
Same, why is
Are you on this side of the table?
Well, from a design
Yeah,
aspect,
he moves back and forth.
things in threes are more aesthetically like pleasing and easy to take in.
Mhm.
Odd numbers
Landscape
are.
friend told me that.
They always say put things in odds. Threes
Oh,
is
yes.
Threes and fives.
Three, five, they're more aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
I feel like I'm more used to twos and twos,
Yes.
4, 6. As a dancer, I'm like,
The golden
Or if I-
ratio.
Oh, there you go. Fibonacci number.
Can we record what we did today? Just like one leg really quick?
We can try to do whatever you guys
Happening right
want.
now.
yeah, it's kind of happening right now. I feel like when I try to do that, the person's like, when I try to do that, the person's like,
Use that hand right there as a signal, okay?
Okay.
Deep breath.
like they're telling me, I'm like,
I totally just took a deep breath too.
I'm going with the home
Did you get
massage.
that?
Yeah.
I missed that.
No.
Deep breath. Big exhale. Breathe.
Right.
And I actually like to do this. Let's see how.
Tapos Maria did that to me.
I do it.
Okay, you interrupted my nap. That was so good.
It reminds me of the dog.
like that?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people like Topodoma.
Will you explain the drape?
What's that?
Will you explain the drape?
Okay, so we're gonna turn prone to supine. So we're gonna do the little tent technique. Remember, if you're working on, especially if you're working on a woman, you want to make sure that when you make the tent, material falls down up here by the neck so that when she turns over, she's covered up. Okay, then get the drape off of the body, and you're gonna turn to your right, look to your right, and then just keep going all the way.
Is this my right?
That is your right.
Okay. Oh, it just got very bright. It just got very bright. Here. What happened?
It's fine. It just doesn't have a very tight.
I will not be opening my eyes anytime soon. Wow.
We can put the pillowcase over your eyes.
If I could also have some, conditioners, a little hand gloves or softener.
You're gonna get mani pedi there too.
That's right. Let's go.
Some
Switch
movement in the
your,
background,
your
please.
body over to your right a little bit, your lower half. Your
Oh,
upper
just
half
the
can
lower
go to your
half.
left a little bit. And yeah, I think you're good there.
Yeah, see, I'm actually just naturally crooked is the problem. Not the bad way, but I mean,
Right.
physically.
So now I have to speak and I hear it.
Okay, let's get rid of this.
What am I on?
Okay. Scoot you over down here to your right a little bit.
Scoot what
To
down?
your right. To your right. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Same old, same old. Pretty much identical.
Am I bruised?
Still recording. Good try.
Usually when I do these effleurage strokes, I always end up like this. Just to kind of keep the foot involved and keep it warm. Of course, with my hand, sometimes that doesn't work. A little effleurage, a little petrissage. And then the anterior compartment, as it's called. Peroneus, extensor digitalis longus, tibialis anterior. Usually warm them up with my fist a little bit and then warm. Pressure okay? Anything else?
Teeny bit less.
Teeny bit
I
less.
had an injury. And I had belly cancer.
Yeah, that's what it is. It feels really good, but holy cow, sore in there.
Yeah.
Worked it yesterday for sure.
It's one of those muscles people sometimes say, wow, didn't know that was there."
Oh.
And inner thigh, you can abduct the thigh. I didn't show this to you guys, but you can do this.
Put them into a figure four.
Yeah. Right, so usually I get that drape like this and hold it snug so that it stays, and then just do this.
The bottom.
Right. And then I always put my thigh under the bottom drape so that the 5 other people whose skin is on my pants would get on her. And you can do, you know, stuff here, effleurage, petrissage, forearm strokes, whatever. But I didn't show that, so
That's a good
I'm just
one.
gonna. Okay. But when they're supine, I'm in the habit of using my fingers to do the inner thigh muscles, and I don't necessarily recommend this, but most people are pretty sensitive here, so you often don't have to use very much pressure there. And you go up no more than 2 or 3 inches closer to the groin. That's what the experts say, don't go any closer than that. And I'm not really using my thumb, I'm just kind of do a couple of strokes in there, and then we're back to forearms for like the medialis, the rectus femoris, the intermedius, and then the vastus lateralis. And usually I like to go, if I can, till I bump into the ASIS, because that's another one of those streaks, those places when I get a massage or I want that person to just keep going. And so many people, they're like, they stop at the drape line.
Right.
And it's like, wait, there's all that up there. But
Yeah.
people are, you know, they're nervous about that part of the body.
I do that with new clients. I stop short, but when I know someone and once trust has been established, then the
Mhm.
draping changes a little bit, and then I
Yeah.
complete the stroke.
Right, once they know what to expect, right? I often do this one on my knees, but if a person needs a lot of pressure, you can just stand up. But usually you have to hold the hip into a little bit of more internal rotation to get access out here.
So tons of people will say, oh, my IT band's really tight right there, but I remember
Right.
you saying that's vastus lateral, well, it's
I'd be
both.
willing to bet it's more vastus lateralis more frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, be willing to bet. And then I'll just briefly show you the cuff technique here and do a couple of those mobilizations. Remember for that one, you just lay the edge of the drape. Actually, we're gonna need a little bit more drape on this side. So. That one, just like this. Like this.
Paul,
Mm-hmm.
don't say oops.
Yeah, I know. And then like this. You can do a little bit of initiating stuff. And then knee flexion, the hip rotations, the knee away. Can you do all these?
Yeah.
Okay, and the knee
This
toward.
is first day, I think we did that.
Right. And you can even do a figure 8 here. But that's all I'm going to do. Okay. And then I would do some foot. Okay, to just work on your feet a little bit through your socks.
Yeah, just not the heel. I
Not
cracked
the
it
heel.
yesterday walking.
Ah,
Ow.
you know what works really good for cracked heels?
What?
Athletic tape.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Works really good.
Really?
It keeps the crack together. And yeah, usually I'll put it all the way from mid-foot all the way up the back. Put it on with your ankle dorsiflexed. And, you know, one and then maybe one on either side of the one, and that works really good because it'll stay on there for days. And, yeah,
Like kinesiology? Or-
no,
No.
athletic tape. Really sticky
Right.
stuff, yeah.
Kind kind of glues it together.
It does glue it together, and you leave it on there for several days, and then it falls off, and then you can put another piece on.
Which tape do you use?
Athletic tape,
Which one is that?
athletic training tape. Yeah, it's about that wide, and it's really sticky.
Where do you get that? Do you
I
get
got
it
it from an athletic trainer.
Would that be the same ones that they use for the boxers to cover the hands?
Probably, yeah. You might be able to get something similar, like at CVS or something like that. Just really, you want really strong,
Very,
very strong.
Yeah,
sticky
they normally just holds together. When you wrap it and you put it on together, it just stays
Yeah.
like that. You don't have to
Yeah.
put anything
And then your
else.
skin heals it from underneath because you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it kind of
Yeah.
sticks. So you
Keeps it-
really put it tight, and that's
together, and yeah, it works really well. One of my clients
Brilliant.
just came in and said, "Oh, Paul, thank you for that tip."
Mm-hmm.
And she cracks her heels a lot. She's a marathon runner. And, yeah, I don't know how I figured that one out.
Well, it's almost like a butterfly bandage
Right.
type theory.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
you've got
exactly.
open
Exactly.
skin.
Do you have any great secret moves for plantar fasciitis?
Boy, depends on how bad it is, how long it's been around. I've had one of my students worked on somebody who had pretty bad plantar fasciitis. I think he worked on it at the bottom of her feet for 20 minutes,
it's running out of battery.
just doing regular strokes.
It's like- It was like
She said it was better for like months after that.
Wow.
But usually, cross fiber works really well, but you got to do it regularly. You got to do it 2-3 times a week, ideally.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a tough condition. It's sometimes chronic and hard to get rid of with traditional treatment anyway. But massage can really help the symptoms. You doing okay with that, or a little less?
You okay? Too tight? Too much?
Hello.
There should be some music in the background. That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Basically, always music in my head, so.
Okay, then the cuff.
Flexion of the hip, knee, intralateral rotation,
That way.
knee away, knee toward, figure eight, etc. Okay, me doing your abdomen? I never did that.
Are you gonna get into the psoas?
Well, we should.
Yeah.
This is a deep tissue class. And if I were gonna go into the psoas, I would probably do this.
Oh my god, that that one's
Flex the
new.
hip a little bit. Now my thigh is under the bottom drape, so she's not contacting me. I don't want her to contact me because my pants might have all kinds of crap on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why it kind of bothers me when massage therapists lay all different kinds of people on their clothing. And most of us are relatively healthy. It's not going to be an issue. But if you get that one person in whose immune system is a little low, and then you got all this who knows what on you, and it gets on them, and you know, that's not good. So here, you find the umbilicus, okay? The umbilicus is right there, so, you know, the psoas comes off the lumbar spine on the anterior surface. It goes down and hooks onto the lesser trochanter. And if you kind of go halfway between the umbilicus and the ASIS, and then just gently, I always use this little kind of spiral movement. One of my teachers told me that his anatomy teacher demonstrated on a cadaver this move, and all the intestines and everything just kind of moved out of the way as he did it. Now, if you feel a really strong pulse down here, don't hold the pressure right there. Just back off a little bit because you're probably touching, you know, one of the major arteries down there. And just say when. She's doing pretty good. You can see how deep my fingers are in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you know when you're on it? This muscle is a hip flexor, so if you just gently touch the knee and then have her pull the knee up into your hand, you can you can feel that muscle kind of pop up into your finger. If you're not on it, you won't feel anything, but that's a good way to figure out if it's there.
Is that also why you had her knee?
I thought she was using ab.
Well,
Over your knee?
that actually relaxes the muscle.
Okay.
Yeah, that relaxes the muscle a little bit. You don't have to do this. A bolster is okay. I mean, I've even had it done to me without any bolster. I mean, my Rolfer put his elbow in my abdomen.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it was like being staked to the table. It's incredible.
In a
But
good way.
no, it didn't feel good at all.
Really?
It hurt like that. But oh yeah,
But
like I
like
said,
worth it.
like I probably may have said, I never told you my rolfing story, but yeah, the pain was sometimes excruciating, but I would go through that pain every day to get the results I got. Because the pain was, you know, of the pressure was transitory. As soon as you
Right.
let the pressure off,
Where's it going?
I'm healed.
Were you having back
Oh
pain at
God,
the
chronic
time?
back, chronic shoulder pain.
Oh.
And I lost all that in one session. Just
Wow.
poof.
Winnie,
gone.
do you know if
Guys, you can
sorry,
get into the more of the
do you know if we're
iliacus
recording
muscle, the
and then if
iliacus
the phone
muscle.
dies,
Here's
will
another
the
time when I
video
kind of
be
use my
saved?
thumbs.
I would
Just kind of hook
stop
your
it.
thumbs
Stop it and save it now?
medial to
Okay.
the ilium like this.